Barbadians get their chance to say what changes they want to see in the Republic Constitution. A number of initiatives in the works to reduce the island's food import bill amid rising input costs. The Fair Trading Commission's hearings conclude today. And coming up in sports, beach wrestling resumes in Barbados with the National Open Tournament.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
The Ministry of Agriculture has embarked on a number of initiatives to drive down the cost of the agricultural aspect of Barbados' food import bill. The figure hovered around $233 million last year. Speaking during the ceremony for World Food Day, which is observed on October 16th, Chief Agriculture Officer Keely Holder outlined some of the measures being taken to reduce the bill.
We have been embarking on a number of measures to look at expanding the types of foods that we grow here. We are now looking at aquaculture and shrimp farming as one of the areas that we could add to our list of locally produced items to expand what we are providing to the Barbadian public, but also to maximize our production here in Barbados. And we are also building linkages with the rest of our CARICOM neighbors. We are part of the Special Ministerial Task Force that is looking at reducing the food import bill by 25% by 2025.
Ms. Holder identified soaring prices as a major challenge associated with food production. She highlighted the cost of inputs like fertilizer and identified the poorest in society as the hardest hit.
Rising food prices affects us all, but the impacts are felt the most by the vulnerable and by countries already experiencing a food crisis. Here in Barbados, you would see that our government would have taken steps in mid-July to look and see how we could curb rising food prices, because as a small island developing state, we are highly food insecure and we are very much dependent. Our inflation is imported, and as a result, we're very much dependent on prices and whatever is happening overseas.
Meanwhile, Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Minister Indar Ware is worried Barbadians are not looking at opportunities available in agro-processing. He says 900 acres of land will be bought back into agriculture, but linkages with manufacturing should be considered as part of efforts to reduce the food import bill. He admits there are challenges to overcome, but says they are not insurmountable.
Why are we constantly beating up ourselves about a food import bill that is nearly $1 billion, when we are not looking at the opportunities that are available to us in manufacturing, so that we can then take the primary produce, manufacture it into many of the things that we import on that bill, the condiments that we use, mayonnaise, and all those types of things, the ketchup. Those are the areas that we need to have a conversation if we are going to enfranchise Barbadians. And I'm pleased to note that the Cabinet has agreed that the BIDC will now become Invest Barbados finally.
Mr. Ware says the conditions call for conversations with stakeholders as his ministry is on a mission to enfranchise farmers and get the food terminal at Lears ready.
We are here at the ministry trying our best to make sure that we transition our farmers to the stage where, through the establishment of a food terminal at Lears, farmers will no longer grow 2 rows of lettuce, a row of tomatoes, a row of peppers, because they see it as either a hustle or a struggle. It is none of the two. And my task as minister, before I leave this space, and perhaps before I leave this earth, is to make sure that a farmer knows exactly who he's planting for and the acreage that he needs to plant.
Recent heavy rainfall in Barbados is unlikely to cause any vegetable shortages in the coming weeks and into the holidays. That's a word tonight from Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul. He says the heavy rains have had some impact on those farmers currently in cultivation, and there could be delays in the planting of some crops. However, he says there are no real problems.
So far, based on the surveys that we've taken some so far, but we're going to start it out right now, I don't anticipate that there should be any real issue going into the holidays, as we go into the holidays.
Okay, let's return to that lead story now about members of public having the opportunity to say what they would like to see in the Constitution for the Republic of Barbados from this weekend. A series of town hall meetings, as we said, are being held as part of that process starting this Sunday at the St. Michael's School. And joining us live again now to talk about the purpose of these meetings and more is Chairman of the Constitution Reform Commission, retired Justice Christopher Blackman. Good evening, Mr. Blackman. I trust you can hear me well now?
I'm hearing you very clearly. Are you hearing me?
Wonderful. Mr. Blackman, the commission was launched on June 24th. Tell us about some of the work that's been done so far.
Well, we've had a couple of town hall meetings. Sorry, not town hall. We have had sessions on Voice of Barbados, brass tacks. We've had programs with CBC on QFM. But we've also been engaged with some stakeholder consultations, and we've also been receiving submissions from the public. At this point, we've had over 40 of varying lengths. There's one that is of 92 pages. There's some of 20 pages and some of 3 or 4 pages.
Whoa.
And these all have to be studied by the commission to determine what issues we will bring back to the public in further town hall meetings. But these first 3 sets of town halls will be open to the public to speak on whatever topic they choose to speak about.
So, Mr. Blackman, let me jump in here. You said you've been in the media and you received some of these long things from the public. Can you tell us what kind of changes people have been asking for?
There are proposals as to changing the system of voting. There are considerations offered about the structure of Parliament. There's talk about rights to be provided for in terms of children to be covered in the Constitution, and issues of the disabled to be provided for in a meaningful way.
Okay. I know it's early days, but can we expect any major changes to the existing Constitution?
It's too early to say that. We will have to do a full evaluation of all the several proposals after we have considered them, and then we have to make a recommendation. I will say is, every suggestion may not be one to be put into the Constitution. However, if it has some merit that suggests that it should be put as primary legislation, then the Commission is committed to making the recommendation on that.
Mr. Blackman, I know some people are going to be at home saying things like, I know we are going to put forward our proposals, but nothing is really going to be done. What reassurance can you give Barbadians that the proposals will be truly considered?
Well, I said that at the outset when we launched that the fashion a new constitution is not only for a few, but all Barbadians bear that responsibility. And therefore, I give you the assurance that each and every proposal brought to us will be considered and evaluated, and that is not going through just a process. We take our responsibilities very seriously in this regard, and when people come out to the town hall meetings and raise their concerns, we will try to answer them as best and honestly as we can.
All right, Mr. Blackman, I'm looking forward to seeing the outcomes of those town hall meetings, and thank you for speaking with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. That was Chairman of the Constitutional Reform Commission, retired Justice Christopher Blackman. Coming up after the break, police investigating another shooting incident. After 15 days of grueling and sometimes heated debate, the Fair Trading Commission's hearings into a rate increase application by the Barbados Light and Power Company came to an end today. Closing arguments from both sides were heard, and now it's up to the Commission to make a decision on the matter. Lead counsel for the Barbados Light and Power, King's Counsel Ramon Alleyne, said, while not perfect, the power company has been managing its affairs well.
They did not have the benefit of hindsight, which seeks to inform many of the criticisms they receive. What they can attest to is making the best decision within the context of the available information of the time. They can attest to running an efficient and stable utility which ranks with the best in the region and on some measures, the world. They can attest to being a true partner in government as it relates to the BNEP. After 15 days of hearing, no part of this statement has shown to be untrue. What the 15 days have proven is that despite the commendable performance, despite managing its affairs in a manner to increase efficiencies and contain expenses, despite investing in plant and improvements to the tune of growing its rate base by over $250 million in the face of flat to negative sales, it faces criticisms that are sometimes uninformed or blatantly prejudiced.
At the start of the day, Chairman Dr. Donnelly Carrington dismissed a number of motions that had been made by the various parties. Among them, a request from some interveners for the Commission to direct the utility company to respond to some questions they believed were not satisfactorily answered.
The motion was made on the penultimate day of the hearing, after 13 hearing days before the Commission has passed. At this moment in time, the Barbados Light and Power Company has closed its case. It would be unusual to order the Barbados Light and Power Company to answer interrogatories at this stage when its case has been closed. Any motion for the Commission to direct the Barbados Light and Power Company to answer any interrogatories could have been made earlier, setting out the grounds in support of the motion. In addition, during this lengthy hearing, the interveners exhaustively and repetitively interrogated the Barbados Light and Power Company's witnesses and requested the production of various documents. The Commission is satisfied that the interveners are unlikely to be prejudiced by the Barbados Light and Power Company's alleged refusal to answer fully or at all any interrogatories.
Police are investigating a shooting incident at Dean's Land, My Lord's Hill, St. Michael. Acting Public Affairs and Communications Officer Acting Inspector Stephen Griffith said it occurred about 9:05 last night. CBC understands police responded to reports of gunshots being fired in the area. On arrival, they were informed a man in his early 40s received a gunshot wound to his left foot. He was transported to a medical facility by private motor vehicle. Local youth advocates are planning to present the Barbados government with a call to action ahead of next month's climate change conference in Egypt. The revelation from UNICEF youth advocate for the Eastern Caribbean, Ashley Lashley, during a consultation with students in Barbados. The conference, COP27, will bring together more than 200 world leaders to discuss climate change and its impact. Ms. Lashley encouraged the students to hold authorities accountable for their commitments to addressing climate change issues, but also called on them to do their part in the fight.
They say that we as children and young people will be left to face and manage the brunt of the climate crisis, yet their decisions and inactions are leading us to a point of no return. For many children in Barbados and across the Eastern Caribbean, our rights are being compromised as a result of environmental, health, and other socio-economic factors. And the climate crisis, as we know it, is a child rights crisis.
UNICEF's youngest youth advocate for the Eastern Caribbean, Maria Marshall, stressed the importance of having a careful plan of action.
Start with the tree planting. Young trees need care, so planting and walking away defeats the purpose. Plus, allowing heavy human traffic and equipment around said young trees for events also defeats the purpose. The new stadium that is to be constructed, great idea. But are we going to reuse some of the old material, take up more land, start fresh somewhere else? Will this stadium be outfitted to generate its own energy? Will it be multi-purpose?
One of Barbados's newest secondary schools is celebrating its Silver Jubilee. It's a Lester Vaughan School, which was officially opened in October 7th, 1997. At the time, it was called the St. Thomas Secondary School, but was renamed in honor of the author of the National Pledge in 1999. Principal Anthony Alling told CBC's Morning Barbados several initiatives are planned to mark the milestone.
In December, we are going to have an initiative called LVS Gives Back, where we try to encourage students to be involved in voluntary activities. Next year, we will be seeking to host LVS in the community, once again, having an outreach to persons in the general area. But that will be in addition to some of our other 25th anniversary activities, the Rivaldo Leacock Championship in December, our speech day, recognizing previous retirees and notable old scholars next year, and then we will end the year with the 25th anniversary service of celebration and Thanksgiving, where we're inviting everyone to be a part of it.
Sports time now. We head over to the sports studio and say good evening to Damian Best.
Good evening to you, Shane. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Well, Brandon's Beach is the venue for tomorrow's Barbados Open Beach Wrestling competition. The event was launched yesterday at Rascals and has prize money on offer for the top performers and a trophy to the eventual winner of the senior section. The official weigh-in begins tomorrow morning for the 4 categories in both the men and women's sections. The men's section caters to athletes in the 70 kilogram to up to 90 plus, while the women have an opportunity to compete in the 50 kg up to 70 plus. Now, President of the Barbados Wrestling Association, Rollins Allen, says the Open will feature athletes from the USA, Canada, England, and the Caribbean.
In beach wrestling, especially, they have 4 divisions in the categories in the seniors, 70, 80, 90, 90 plus. And what we have done, we have add on an Open for the Barbados Open, which will be some prize money for the winner. And that beautiful trophy over there, which is contents of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. Corporation. And so this week promised to be a very, I call it an event of friendship, bringing people together. And also I have having the Imperial School. They'll be here, some little kids, they're going to try something different. They're going to wrestle, but not physical wrestling. They'll be doing arm wrestling on the sand. So try to, make it a fun event.
The founder of Central Toronto Wrestling, Jay Jordan, says Barbados has the perfect setup for beach wrestling.
With over 50 beaches on this island, it's a great opportunity to involve young kids, from grade school through high school and up through to university and international level competition. It's a great sport with many, many great people involved. It's quite a fraternity internationally. And as I said, we're very honored to be here and look forward to the competition on Saturday.
And the BTMI's Director of Latin America and the Caribbean, Corey Garrett, added that Barbados must continue to diversify its tourism product.
These types of sporting events allows us at the BTMI the prime opportunity to do that diversification. Sporting tourism is one of the highest grossing niches in the tourism world around the globe nowadays. Persons just like, and athletes just like other types of persons obviously travel around the world to destination locations such as Barbados to obviously train, participate, and even spectate in these types of sporting events. Not to take the shine away, but we also host one of the biggest marathons here in the Caribbean, and that is upcoming, of course, which is the Run Barbados Marathon in the coming weeks, the December 10th and 11th week. So definitely these types of caliber are big caliber events, from grassroots events to large sporting events, are allowing us at the BTMI to create that type of diversification.
Tonight's business report is brought to you by the City of Bridgetown Cooperative Credit Union Limited, measuring success one member at a time.
The local economy is now in a better position to respond to external shocks. So says Senior Economic Advisor to the Barbados government, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, who has been speaking from Washington, D.C. about the resilience built into the 2022 BERT plan. His comments come as it was announced Barbados is among 3 countries set to benefit from the Resilience and Sustainability Trust. The RST is a long-term affordable financing instrument from the International Monetary Fund to help countries build resilience to structural challenges, including climate change. Explaining shocks are now considered the norm. For example, the war in Ukraine, global inflation, and trading barriers created during COVID-19. Dr. Greenidge says the Mia Mottley administration has to ensure there are contingencies in place to respond to the needs of the country.
For example, in our debt instruments that we issue now, we have this pandemic clause and this public health clause, which say if you get hit by a shock, then you pause on that payment, and that's building the contract, so you're not defaulting. You put that payments at the back end of the loan, and use that money to help you recover quickly. So you don't waiting for international institutions to lend you any money. You got money free up from your fiscal. That will free up $1.9 billion immediately if you get a shot. So that's why you're building them into it, into this sort of thing, right? And then on the infrastructure, you got to build infrastructure in the times when you don't have the shot. So when the shot comes by, the infrastructure don't collapse and wash away and hurricane don't work you totally. So you try to build resilience. And you manage your debt in such a way that you got debt space that when the time comes, you can spend, right? And all this is built into the context of the BERT program.
A company with a difference is now part of the real estate industry in Barbados. It is Otley Real Estate, and at the launching ceremony at Crystal View Estate in St. John, Managing Director Andrew Belgrave told the Business Report it is a lifestyle company which took some time to come to fruition.
It's a real estate lifestyle firm, and the name of the charity is the Otley Foundation. So we came here this evening to really celebrate the journey. Otley Estates is about 9 years old, but it was a really, really rough journey. And I just wanted to let people know that entrepreneurship is not always what sometimes people make it out to be. And we want to show people that we're moving. It's a global audience, a global network. So we're moving to different parts of the world, and we want them to celebrate that with us.
The managing director says part of the company's mandate is to reach out to the youth, and their sister company will be offering skills training programs in a number of disciplines.
The Otley Foundation, a charity that took a few years to register, we are now going to look to bring our youth and have them involved in the charity, where we expose them to different topics that are not normally taught in the schools. You know, topics like etiquette and deportment, communication, and all these different things that are overlooked, because we want our young adults to go out well balanced into the world of work and any professional arena that they're going to enter into.
Time now for the second half in sports, when we head back on over to the sports studio and say good evening to Damien Best.
Yeah, thanks so much, Shane. Well, teenager Louis Wilson upstaged the more seasoned opponents to convincingly win the recent Barbados Chess Federation's VEX tournament. The 17-year-old overcame the challenge of senior Barbados representatives Justin Parsons and Emar Edwards to comfortably take the top spot when the 5-day event ended at the Coles building on Bay Street. Wilson finished with 6.5 out of a maximum 7 points, ending a 1.5 more than both Parsons and Edwards, who were part of Barbados' team at the 44th FIDE Olympiad in Chennai, India, back in August. Wilson, who was seeded at number 4, emerged as the favorite to win the event after defeating second seed Parsons and third seed Edwards in the early rounds. The former national under-16 champion duly took the top prize after beating veterans Othniel Herwood and Cyprian Latouche in the final 2 rounds. Wilson's quest for a 100% winning record was denied when he had to settle for a draw in the 3rd round against top seed England-born Chris White. We can also tell you that both Parsons and Edwards finished with 5 points, but Parsons took second place on account of winning the head-to-head clash in the 3rd round. 12-year-old Shannon Reefer Bell, who won gold medals in the online rapid and blitz events at the Pan American Youth Championships earlier this year, placed 4th with 4.5 points. Among her victories was an upset win against Parsons in the last round. The tournament, which was not open to players who finished in the top 3 spots at the National Championship and Ladies National Championship in April, attracted 16 players. The BCF will now turn its attention to the 2022 annual general meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow.
That's our news. Good night and be good. Thanks for visiting us. To get more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.